Foundation, but to NIMSA. You know, this is a body you can trust. And we think there's a lot going for it because other things will flow from it. You'll get invitations to press conferences, press handouts, meetings, and the like. These are not legal consequences, but I think they'll be practical ones. Who knows, even the press gallery in Parliament might decide to attach accreditation to this body, I don't know. We think the mediation availability will be useful as well. And we're also suggesting, and New Zealand On Air would have to consider this, that if New Zealand On Air funding for news-like programs is to be granted, the broadcast would have to be done by a body which belongs to NIMSA. So we think those are reasonably strong incentives. But there's another question following on from that, almost equally as hard. Who should be allowed to join? The mainstream media certainly, obviously. Broadcasters, newspapers, certainly. But we would extend the tent wider than that. We're trying to be as inclusive as possible. This is an age of freedom of speech. And we think websites should be able to join. Even some of the bigger bloggers, provided they meet these criteria, that news is a significant element of their operation. They're about news. They broadcast or publish to the public, and they do so on a regular and not an occasional basis. And they are prepared to sign up to the NIMSA requirements. So we reckon there could be a number of websites that really want to join it because they will see advantages in it. We think some of the bigger bloggers probably will as well. We have no definite word about this, but I think it's possible. Some people are nervous about that, and they say, well, look, if they join, how will they behave? The answer is if they're signing up, they will have to behave. Otherwise, they can have that suspension or termination sanction brought against them. But in this day and age, it's very hard to draw a firm line and say, these are in, these are out, because it's shifting all the time. Our assessment is that most of the smaller operators will opt not to join. I think probably they won't. And good on them, that's fine. And they can carry on exactly as they were before. They can say anything they like, they can be offensive, they can be rude, they can be wrong. Unless they break the law, unless they commit defamation or contempt of court, in which case they're in trouble in the courts. We live in a great society. We do have freedom of speech, and long may it last. So nothing in these proposals in any way cuts back on people's freedom of speech. If they don't want to join up to this, they can do it now and to enjoy it. Now, the final question is, do you need any statutory intervention at all to bring this about? Because a clear message we got from our issues paper was that the media and many others do not like statutory intervention in the media. Now, you can set up NIMSA, and you must, I think, without any statutory creation at all. But there's going to have to be two statutes on the sidelines. One, to get rid of the BSA's news jurisdiction. It's a statutory body now, and you can only get rid of its news jurisdiction by passing an act, either removing or modifying, so you have to have that. And you'd also have to have a little act which went through all the statutory privileges and said the media that can take advantage of these privileges are the ones who belong to NIMSA. Just as currently the Criminal Procedure Act says the only bodies that can sit in closed court are those that belong to the Press Council or the BSA. So the Press Council is recognised now in the statute, even though it's not created by it. And all we're saying is that should be expanded to all members of NIMSA. So you'd have to have a wee act doing that. But that would not come into force until NIMSA had been actually set up and it was virtually underway. The act would come to force after that time. We also recommend a look at the entertainment sector. And the last half of this heavy report, I can barely lift it with one hand, the last half has already been published about 6 months ago. It's about cyberbullying and digital harm. That's already been looked at by the government, so I'm not talking about that. That's already up there. So it'll relieve you to know that your Easter reading is only the first half of it. About 200 pages. Well, so Grant, that's all I've got. Probably far too much.
All right, thank you, John.